Welcome everyone. My name's Allison Cochran and welcome to our Kids and Teens virtual book party. And Bridget, do you want to do an introduction also?
Sure. So I'm Bridget. I'm one of the teen librarians, and I think we're going to talk about summer reading, right? Someone is.
Yes.
Are we going to introduce everyone first?
Everyone
Yes.
together?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, alphabetical order. So my name is Catherine. I'm one of the other teen librarians.
I'm Lauren, one of the teen librarians as well.
I'm Tanya. I'm one of the youth services librarians.
And I'm Ted. I'm also a youth services librarian.
Okay. So we are going to talk about summer reading, not surprisingly.
Yeah, awesome.
This
So
over.
while that's getting set up, I will go ahead and start. So summer reading did kick off today at our libraries. We're very excited. We have several different options. I'm going to talk about the second one first, and then Ted can carry on with the other two and tell you more about those. But we're very excited that you can get a free book starting today at all of our branches. You can come in and select them. If you go to the website, it's right at the top summer reading page. You can see all of the options there as well before you go in if you want to take a selection or take a look at the selection. For the English titles, we also have Spanish and Russian at select locations as well. So take a look at those. And we have two other awesome offerings that we have this summer. And just to mention that our books are while supplies last.
Yeah, so as Lauren mentioned, we also have this year, as we did last year, we have a bingo sheet. So if you're looking for some great ideas for some fun things to do in and around the house, out in the community, this would be a great way to get some new ideas for some fresh, fun, kind of goofy things that you can do. Also this year, we have what we're calling the neighborhood collage. So we want everyone to come into any one of our libraries. You can draw something, you can write something, and you can add it to our very slowly growing walls of essentially community generated content. So anything that you want to draw, anything that you want to write, just we have all of the materials down at the library. You can make something, leave it in the submission box, and you'll see it up on the wall with everyone else's content. So we're really excited to hear about you and about what you want to tell us about your community this summer. So that is our neighborhood collage.
Yeah, and summer reading is for ages 0 to 18 this year. We're very excited. And it is running from June 1st through August 7th this year as well. So you can come by and engage with the bingo sheets and the neighborhood collage and then the books while supplies last. We're very excited. And there are several that we'll talk about tonight that we'll do a shout out. There are also books that you can take home with you as well. All of them you can check out through our website as well. But there's some specifically that you can add to your home library as well that we'll mention.
Just a reminder, we do have another virtual book party next week. It's featuring picture books. So that is June 8th at 4 p.m. And Catherine's going to put that link in the chat. And then we have one focused on adult books on June 15th at 7 p.m. So you can register for either one of those as well. Then we're going to go ahead and get started. I will be timing our book talkers so they don't go on too long so we can get more books in. So we'll go ahead and start with Bridget.
So I'm going to start with Fat Chance Charlie Vega, which is so much fun. I would say this is a good fit for 13 or 14 and up ages or adults as me. I guess that is up. But it's about Charlie, who's on the cover, and you can see she is fat and she is just the best character. I love her so much. She's funny and smart, and this is it's a little bit about romance, it's a little bit about growing up, but it's really a story about friendship and figuring stuff out. So her best friend is Amelia, and Charlie and Amelia have been friends forever, and Amelia is beautiful and popular and athletic and smart. Charlie is also beautiful and smart, not quite as popular, and Amelia is extremely slim, and Charlie feels that she kind of always comes second to Amelia with her mom, with kids at school, with boys in particular. And this is sort of her story. When a boy asks her out, they start dating, and then she finds out something that kind of turns into a spiral, turns into some drama between her and Amelia and this boy. It's funny and smart, and if you like those realistic type stories, this would be a good choice. Quick content warnings: there is some fat phobia, bullying, and some disordered eating that happen in this book.
Okay, thank you. And Catherine.
So Coop knows the scoop. I would recommend for 5th grade and up, or if you have a very adventurous 4th grade reader that is okay with some squeamish murder mystery, this one is really entertaining. Coop and his family have become the talk of the town. Really, they are the source of gossip because the bones of his grandmother have just been dug up from underneath the playground at his elementary school, and his grandfather is the prime suspect. She went missing 40 years ago, and everyone believes that she just left town. And now his grandfather has been arrested and charged with her murder. And to make matters even more complicated, Coop's mom's boyfriend is the detective who is investigating the case. So, of course, Coop, being an amateur detective himself, decides that he is going to try to investigate this mystery and essentially starts going a lot of places that he shouldn't, really illegally. But it's so entertaining, it's twisty, it's fun, and just a really good murder mystery that'll keep you guessing about who did it.
All right, All Summer Long is one of the books that you can get from summer reading this year. It's, I would say, 6th grade and up for this one, and it's a wonderful graphic novel, and it's about Bina and Austin, and they've been best friends forever. Every summer, they have these great adventures together. They do all these fun things. They live really close to like nature area that they have adventures in. But this year, Austin is going to soccer camp, and Bina's kind of left to figure out what to do this summer. They very much are a pair. And so she starts to kind of explore what she used to do before they met. So of course, like with summers, they ebb and flow with how fun they are, getting bored, bad TV. She finds her guitar that she forgot about. She starts falling back into this music pattern that she has forgotten about. There's all these things that she's re-exploring about herself and what she likes. And she's making new friends, different friends than what she had before. And so she's very excited. And then Austin's coming back at the end of summer. And so it's the story of mashing the new friends with the old friends and kind of continuing who you are and who you become over summer with that mashup of friendships. I really enjoyed it. The art is awesome. It's like this orangey color with black and white. So I highly recommend it. So that's All Summer Long.
This is Amari and the Night Brothers, and I would recommend this for 4th grade and up. But if you've done a read aloud of Harry Potter with your kids, you could also do this one as a read aloud. It's one of my favorite books of the year. And as I mentioned, it's for fans of Harry Potter or other magical books. Amari's brother has been missing for quite a while, but she's never stopped believing that he's out there. Her family doesn't really have the resources to find him, though, so they just have been waiting. One day, magical forces lead Amari to her brother's room, which she's been in many times before, but now when she goes in, she finds a magical suitcase. The suitcase contains a message from her brother, a magical message. It kind of transports her into a different kind of space. And it also includes a tryout for the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs. It turns out that her brother used to work for this organization. He was one of the best, and magic in the world is real. Fairies, magicians, aliens, and everything else that you can think of. Amari has to compete for a spot in this magical school, and she knows that she has to get in because she thinks that this mysterious organization holds the key to her brother's disappearance, and she is determined to find him. This is definitely going to be a series, and I'm already looking forward to the next one. So that was Amari and the Night Brothers.
All right, so if you love Diary of a Wimpy Kid, if you love humorous books, if you love anything that's really funny, this would be a great one to pick out. It's called Jake the Fake Keeps It Real. I'd say about 4th grade and up, or late 3rd grade and up. This is about a kid named Jake, and Jake is the funniest kid in his class. But unfortunately, he doesn't really feel like he has a whole lot of other talents. Well, except one. He knows how to play one song on the piano extremely well. Unfortunately, this kind of backfires on him because he plays it so well at a recital at his school's talent show that he's selected for the most prestigious feeder school, artistic feeder school in his district. And Jake is starting to freak out. He's like, oh, no, this is, everyone's going to find out that I don't have any real artistic talent. They're going to kick me out of school. This is going to be so embarrassing. And one of his friends comes up to him and he's like, Jake, dude, you go to an art school. You can do anything you want. You can scream into buckets. You can wear a paper crown and call yourself king of the hamsters. As long as you tell everyone that it's part of your artistic process, nobody's going to question this. Jake decides that this is actually really funny and really great up until the point when he has to deliver a final project at the end of the year, celebrating his artistic achievements for the year. So this is, like I said, this is extremely funny. If you are a fan of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, if you love books that have a ton of great illustrations or just really goofy and off the walls, this would be a great one to pick up. So that is Jake the Fake Keeps It Real. Oh, and it is part of a series. So yeah, if you like that one, keep an eye out for the other ones.
So this one is nonfiction. This is a memoir. Notes from a Young Black Chef. You may know the author. He was on a season of Top Chef as well. So, but this book has been optioned for a film. So you may have a movie option coming. And there's also an adult version of this as well. But I'm going to talk about the YA version here. And it is, this is one that I would recommend you don't read this hungry. There's lots of delicious food stuff in here. Obviously, he's a chef. But it's also a book that talks about he has a very fascinating life. And he was very young when he became kind of an executive chef. So it's his story of like growing up in childhood. I will say there's some content warnings here he got involved in gangs, there's drug use, drug selling, there's lots of racism, different stuff that pops up, but mostly it's his story of going from his childhood to becoming running his own restaurant, and then that goes really badly, things ended poorly, and then he bounces back from that, and this is just the whole story of his life. It is vibrant, his voice is incredibly just like really rich and confident, and it is a very great story if you're looking for something nonfiction and something maybe a bit different from some other memoirs.
Kingston and the Magicians Lost and Found is another one. If you like books with nonstop action, I would recommend this one for 5th grade and up. It is a lot of fun. It is the first in a series, and it follows Kingston, who has for the last 5 years been living away from where he grew up. Because 5 years ago, what you discover is that Kingston's father, who was the greatest magician, so not like magic magician, but like magic card magician, so magic tricks, illusions, and things like that, went missing in one of his biggest tricks on stage. He disappeared off the stage, and they haven't ever been able to find him. He's never shown back up. And his mom, devastated, moved away, but now 5 years later, they are moving back to Echo City in Brooklyn, where he grew up. And what he discovers is that there was a lot more going on than he realized. His father actually could do magic, like the woo magic, and his father was actually pulled into a realm that is parallel to ours, and he's been trapped there for the last 5 years. And so Kingston starts this kind of quest to try to find his father, but this is one of those puzzly mystery quests. His father has left a series of clues and riddles that he has to solve to try to figure out how to get him back. So if you like puzzly mysteries, and at one point Kingston actually accidentally gets his hand stuck in the other realm, so now he has a ghost hand, a missing hand that he has to wear a Michael Jackson glove on. It's very entertaining. I highly recommend it, and I'm excited for the next book in the series.
That sounds so good. Okay, The Downstairs Girl is another one that you can get through summer reading as well this year through the library. I'd say it's for 7th grade and up, and it's a really good historical fiction book that is set around 1890s in Atlanta, and it's about Jo. She's Chinese American, and she's a lady's maid for a very wealthy man's daughter who really doesn't treat her well. You definitely get to a sense of what the treatment was of Jo. But her and her adopted father, Old Jin is his name, they live in the kind of bottom of this print shop secretly. No one knows they live down there. They can hear everything that happens up there, and there's a conversation that the print shop isn't doing well, and this can't happen. Jo needs to figure out how to keep being able to live there. So she's decided she wants to write an advice column, and she's going to write it under the name Miss Sweetie. She gives them a sample. People love it. They want to write in. They want to hear what Miss Sweetie has to say. They start asking about horse races, politics, gender and race, and all these different subjects that really aren't talked about in a way that Jo has heard that she agrees with. So she's now using this platform to share her opinions and her advice on what to do. So it's a really interesting twist. She finally has this voice. So see what she does with that voice and see what happens. I really enjoyed it. So that's The Downstairs Girl.
This is The Elephant in the Room by Holly Goldberg Sloan. This author has written many other books if you want to check those out, but this is a realistic fiction book about a girl named Silas. Silas's mother has recently been let go of her job, and she had to travel back to Turkey to fix her immigration paperwork before she can get a new job. Silas stays behind in Oregon with her dad because her mom's only supposed to be gone for a few weeks. But days end up turning into weeks, which turn into months, and her mom is still not back yet. Silas is getting really worried and is having a hard time concentrating on pretty much anything else. That is until her dad, who is a mechanic, takes her with him on a call to a big house, kind of about 15 minutes from where they live in the country, and it has a very strange wall around it. A lonely old man lives there, and he has recently won the lottery. The old man and Silas end up forming a friendship, and together they rescue a circus elephant named Vita. She also ends up meeting a shy boy named Mateo at school, and together the elephant, Mateo, and the old man, they all kind of form this really heartwarming friendship throughout the summer. And these friendships are helping Silas feel better, but will her mom end up getting back or not? This book was so cute, super heartwarming, and I highly suggest it if you like realistic fiction. So that was The Elephant in the Room.
All right, so this is Doodleville, and if you, I should say first, this is actually one of our summer reading selections, so you can actually, while supplies last, come and get this one at the library. But if you are a fan of The Cardboard Kingdom, this is Chad Sell's follow-up book, and it's probably going to be a series, and it's about a girl named Drew who is an artist. She and her friends are all members of sort of a art club in their school, and that would be fun in and of itself, except for the fact that their doodles, their drawings, their creations have a weird habit of kind of taking on a life of their own. In fact, they are so lifelike that they can sometimes jump from their sketchbooks into paintings. Now, that might be kind of a bit of a problem because they go on a field trip to the Art Institute of Chicago. Unfortunately, mayhem is caused, and they have to sort of reassess what they're doing with their Doodleville. Now, that's when Drew comes up with the idea for Levy, who you can actually see, you can't see my mouse, the girl in the middle holding up that Leviathan, also called Levy, which is wonderful. But unfortunately, everyone thinks Levy is a monster when Levy is actually just extremely clumsy. Other kids keep trying to push Levy into being the villain of Doodleville. Levy kind of freaks out a little bit, and it's up to Drew to kind of set things right. So if you are a fan of graphic novels, I can't believe I forgot to mention that it's a graphic novel at the very beginning. But if you love graphic novels, this would be a great one to pick up, and I think it's about 3rd grade and up. So that is Doodleville. Highly recommend.
So this book, this is Most Dangerous. It's another one of our summer reading choices. If you're interested, you can grab this one. It's nonfiction. It's probably good, I say 6th or 7th grade and up, maybe a bit younger depending on a kid's interest. And the subtitle here is Daniel Ellsberg and the Secret History of the Vietnam War. So this book has a lot of things. You can see this on the cover. You've got the person with the flashlight. This book is, if you like kind of stories, sort of like spy stories or stories where secrets get exposed, this is that book. Daniel, he's in the Marines, but by the time our country got into World War, gosh, I'm jumping around, the Vietnam War, sorry, it's been a day. He worked in the government, and he found out information that he thought the American people should know, but that the government was keeping secret. And he did his best to, and he did succeed, getting this information out, spreading it around. If you've ever felt like somebody is keeping secrets from you, empower someone that shouldn't be, this is the book for you. It is fascinating. It is definitely a page turner. It's got Vietnam War history. It's got kind of spy sneaking around stuff. It's really, really engaging. Definitely a page turner.
One of the good ones is written by 2 sisters, and it is a story about 3 sisters. It has been described I'll start with, this one is older, so probably 8th grade and up is who I would give this to, not for your younger kiddos. It has been described as The Hate You Give meets Get Out, so The Hate You Give with a thriller twist on it. It is one of my favorite books that I've read this year, and it was one that I didn't really see all the twists and turns coming, so it was super good. It's told in alternating timelines, before the arrest and after the arrest, and before the arrest you meet Casey, who is a she's a growing YouTube star. She has millions of followers, and she makes videos about social justice issues in our country now. And what you discover throughout the days and weeks leading up to the times before the arrest is that she has gained enough celebrity status, I guess, that people have started stalking her online, and she's starting to receive threatening messages. And then the story jumps to after the arrest, and you meet her 2 sisters, Happy and Jenny, who are mourning the death of their sister, Kezi. So she seems to have died in the time between before and after the arrest. And they've decided that they're going to go on a road trip that she was planning for her senior year in her honor. And so this is the story you kind of see as it unfolds. What happened in the time leading up to the arrest? What happened with the arrest? Is Kezi really dead? Is she? What's going on? It is so good. And it is one that you won't want to put it down because you need to know what happens.
Awesome. So what I carry, I would say, is 7th grade and up. And it's an amazing realistic book about Muir. And Muir has been in foster care since she was born, and she is now 17, and she's about to age out of foster care when she finds out she's been sent to another home. And she's not surprised. She has a plan. She really focuses on herself, making sure she only packs what she can carry, doesn't get too attached wherever she ends up going, because she has plans for after high school and after she gets out of foster care. And it's a little bit different where she's going, because Francine is her new mother, foster mom, and she is very different. She's very trusting of her, lets her take a walk right away. And instantly Muir can tell that this is a different place. She's the only child at this home, and everyone in town is really friendly. There's a lot more people into art like she is. She finds a job she's able to get pretty quick as a trail guide, so she gets to be outdoors a lot. And there's just a sense to this town that is very different. And so for the first time, she kind of feels her guard coming down, and she's not really sure how she feels about it. And this is a very touching, very awesome story. I love Muir's character. She is amazing. And just who she engages with. You see all the amazing things on the cover. You kind of get to know her more through that as well, which I really enjoyed. So if you're looking for something that's realistic, this one's fantastic. So that's what I carry.
This is Wilderlord, The Accidental Apprentice, another one of my favorite books I've read this year. I would say 4th grade and up for reading level, but content-wise, it could go younger. This is a fantasy adventure book, and that will definitely be a series. It's about a boy named Barclay, who is an apprentice to a mushroom farmer. And he lives in a town where magic and magical creatures are frowned upon. It's not okay. He knows that there are people in other towns who are able to bond with magical creatures and have powers, and they are called lore keepers, but he will never be one of those people. Until one day, when Barclay is picking mushrooms in the woods, he runs into a mysterious girl and also accidentally bonds with the magical wolf-like creature. Barclay is run out of his small town, he's forced to leave, and he ends up traveling with the mysterious girl to find the lore keepers, and they live deep in the woods. He is hoping when they find them that they can undo his bond with the wolf, but instead he ends up getting kind of sucked into competing in a competition to earn a spot that will only strengthen his powers, not give them up. Will Barclay embrace this new adventure or give it all up to go back to the only home that he has ever known? Really excited for the second one in this series as well. So that is Wilderlord.
For those of you that are fans of How to Train Your Dragon, for those of you that enjoy fantasy or just dragons in general, now that I say that, this would be a great one to pick up. It's called Seekers of the Wild Realm, and it's about a girl named Bryn who lives in a fantasy world where all of the magical creatures and frankly all of the magic in the world resides in this sort of walled off wild realm. Now, in their world, only seekers, people who have been trained to deal with magical animals, to handle them without causing any trouble, without hurting the animals, are allowed to go in there. Bryn's father is one of the, I think, one of the limited number of seekers that they are allowed to have. And she has always wanted to be like him. She's always wanted to be a seeker. She loves magical animals. She loves the adventure and being able to go out and do that. But unfortunately, in their world, as soon as one of the seekers retires, Bryn decides that she's going to start training. She's going to start trying out, and finds out from the seeker's trainer that he has never once taught a girl before, and he's not going to start now. Bryn is, of course, extremely upset, and that is when things take a bit of a strange turn. One of the boys that she's sort of been in a kind of rivalry as long as she can remember comes one evening to her door with a wounded dragon, says that he found it and that he needs her help since she knows a lot about seeker lore. This is a great fantasy adventure, and I forgot to mention it's about 4th grade and up. So if you're looking for another great fantasy novel with a ton of really awesome dragons, this would be a great one to pick up.
Find my unmute button. So the ones we're meant to find is really good. If you like stories where you can't necessarily tell where they're going, this would be a good choice. It's probably for your 8th grade readers and up. Content warnings for things like violence, swearing, some physical intimacy on the page. But it's about 2 sisters, that's them on the cover, Celia and Casey. And the story is told from both their perspectives. It's futuristic. The world, if you're familiar with climate fiction, the world has kind of been destroyed by humans and the way we live. But there are cities, so people living on Earth having a rough time, but there are these cities floating in the sky, and these 2 sisters live in them. But from the very beginning, they're in different places. Celia has gone missing. She's been missing for about 3 months, and Casey, her story kind of starts off trying to figure out what happened to her sister. How'd she disappear? Where'd she go? Celia's story, she's on an island, and she has been there for over 3 years. So right from the beginning, something weird is happening. And it has sort of a thriller feeling to it, with definitely lots of twists, and you think you know where it's going, and then you're definitely wrong. It's also a standalone, so if you like that kind of mashup of thriller, sci-fi, cli-fi all together, this would be a great choice. It is fascinating. Also, don't pick this one up if you like a very clear ending. This is one of those that will leave you talking about it for a while.
Get a Grip Vivi Cohen is good for 4th grade and up, or as Tanya mentioned, probably could do it as a read aloud for 3rd or younger. This one is a really heartwarming and fun story. Vivi, our main character, is on the autism spectrum, and as part of one of her classes, she has been required to do an assignment to write a letter to one of her heroes. So she decides that she is going to write to her favorite Major League Baseball player, who's VJ Capello, who's famous for being a knuckleball pitcher, which is, I'll be honest, I don't know that much about baseball, but apparently that's fairly rare in baseball, being a knuckleball pitcher. And so she writes this letter to him telling him about how she dreams of being a famous knuckleball pitcher herself. She doesn't really think anything of it. She goes on, she's trying to convince her mom to let her join one of the local baseball teams. And then VJ writes back. So this is an epistolary novel, which is a novel written in letters. And so they become pen pals, Vivi and VJ. And the entire book is told through the letters that they write back and forth to one another. And you learn that Vivi she gets to join the Flying Squirrels baseball team, and she gets to join as a pitcher. But things start to go wrong. Nothing goes according to plan. If you want a story that will leave you just feeling all nice and warm and fuzzy inside, I highly recommend this one. It was so much fun to read.
These Violent Delights is definitely high school level, I would say. It's definitely for older high school, just because it gets pretty gruesome. As a content warning, heads up from the get-go. It's a fantasy retelling of Romeo and Juliet set in the 1920s in Shanghai. It was so amazing the way they described everything about it. I just really loved it. But there's these 2 gangs that run the town, essentially. So you have the Chinese Scarlets, who they literally run the town. They pretty much run the police. They're very strong, very powerful. And then you have the rivals that are the Russian White Flowers that are always battling. They kind of have this boundary line, but it kind of mixes a bit. And Juliet is returning from New York City to take her place as the heir of the Scarlet Gang. And Romeo is the heir to the White Flowers. And they aren't strangers. They knew each other growing up before they knew about the gangs. And so they have that kind of tension to work through, because now obviously they can't be friends. There's some stuff that has happened in their past that you learn throughout it as well. But they really had to band together because something really gruesome is happening. Something is taking over members from both of their sides and literally causing them to rip out their throats, literally. Like, it gets really gruesome. But something is causing this and they don't know what it is. It's something invisible. They can't figure it out, but they have to kind of work together because there's a special life on the line. Not to spoil anything, but it's a really good mashup. I really enjoyed it. The way they described the scenery, everything there, again, gruesome, but really awesome. I super enjoyed it. So that's These Violent Delights.
Allison, I see you really pushed her out there. This is The Secret Explorers and the Lost Whales. I would say that this series is good for 2nd grade and up, but as with all my books so far, you can definitely do it as a read aloud. Good for kids who have liked the Magic Treehouse books or like action adventure. It's about a group of kids and they come from all over the world, and together they fix problems, solve mysteries, and gather knowledge. And so they kind of have these powers. Each of these kids, whenever they're being called to a mission, a special sign will appear on the door that is nearest to them. So they could be at school, at their house, wherever, and the special sign will pop on that door. When they walk through the door, they are transported to their mission station. And it depends on the mission who actually gets to go, because as I said, each kid has special skills. So in this one, this is the first one, it's the Lost Whales. Connor, who is a marine life expert, and Roshini, who is, I think she's good at space stuff. They are the kids chosen to go on this mission. And their mission is to help save a pod of humpback whales that have lost their way. So they get to go in this submarine and they think it will be super easy. But of course, they come up with unexpected problems, including lost baby whales and a very big fleet of boats. Each book in the series is has a different theme. So there's a dinosaur themed one, a space themed one, and many more. I think there's 6 out so far. So if you like the first one, definitely check out the series. That is Secret Explorers.
Yeah, I love Camp Murderface. And I know it's not just a great title, it's also a great horror comedy. So if you are a fan of either one of those genres, this is about for 4th grade and up. This is about a couple of kids named Coran and Tess. Now, Coran and Tess have both been sent off to Camp Sweetwater out in the middle of Ohio. Now, Coran is extremely upset. She just wanted to spend the entire summer BMX biking. She didn't want to have to go to camp. She didn't want to have to be away from all of her friends. But her parents are getting a divorce, and even though they say that they really just want her to, get out of the house and see some new people and have some new experiences, Coran very fervently believes that they just kind of want to ship her away for a while they work that out. Tez, on the other hand, desperately wanted to come to summer camp. He has always felt extremely shy. He's always felt extremely out of his depth when he's talking to other kids. So he has to essentially beg his parents to let him go to summer camp. Coran and Tez strike up a friendship, and you kind of think that it's going to be just kind of a funny little camp novel, and that's when they start seeing ghostly heads floating around in the campfires. That's when they start noticing that there are zombies in the lake. That's when they start noticing that there's an undead lifeguard who's been guarding the lake and kind of scaring everyone for a long time. So really strange, unsettling, and also really funny things are happening at Camp Stillwater, or as the title implies, Camp Murderface. So this is not, horror is kind of a broad term for middle grade. But yeah, if you love spooky things or things that are funny, this would be a great one to pick up. It's also a series, and the next one is already out. So that is Camp Murderface.
So this book, Gearbreakers, doesn't come out until the end of this month, but it is coming. I had an advance copy, and I picked it up because I liked the cover. Yes, librarians do that too. And this one, it does live up to its cover. So it is about the 2 main characters are the 2 people there on the book. And it has mechs. So you see the giant robot in the background. They call them wind-ups. That's their term for it. The two main characters are Stona Steelcrest, which is her name, and Eris. They are kind of on opposite sides of this conflict that is happening in this kingdom, world, city, whatever. And Stona has been wired up to essentially control. She's had cybernetics implanted in her so that she can control one of these wind-ups, pilot it. And Eris, on the other side, she is a gear breaker of the title. Her job is to kind of take down the wind-ups from the inside out. And so they seem like they're on opposite sides. There's going to be conflict, but you as a reader from the very beginning know that Sona has sort of infiltrated the wind-up program, and her goal is to take it down from the inside. This is sort of, if you like stories that are like enemies to lovers, this is that story. If you like stories that are like found family and people kind of breaking out of what the roles they have been assigned by people around them, this is that story too. It is, I'm going to say, high school and up. It is pretty violent, as you might guess. Giant robots fighting each other. So watch for this one. It's coming at the end of the month.
All right, I hope you're listening. I would recommend for probably 7th or 8th grade and up. Might be a bit of a stretch for 7th grade, but definitely 8th grade and up. And if you like mysteries, or you've been looking for your next kidnapping book that you want to read, this is the one. I highly recommend it. It also has an excellent audiobook because it is like a multi-format book. It's told through podcasts and narration. So what you discover is that the main character of the story, Dee, has been known for most of her life as the girl who wasn't taken. Her best friend and she were playing in the woods when they were little, and her best friend was kidnapped, and Dee was left tied up and blindfolded, but they didn't take her. And so she's lived with that trauma her entire life, and she has channeled some of that into a podcast that she calls Radio Silent, where she, as the seeker who remains anonymous, helps solve cold case and active murder and kidnapping cases. And so she gathers as much as she can, and her couch detectives, home detectives, help her solve these cases, and they actually have been very successful. She has refused, though, to confront the ghosts of her past until a little girl who now lives in her best friend's home goes missing from the exact same house, and she is forced to confront her past and to finally try to solve the one cold case that she's never been able to face. It's so good.
Awesome. So this is not the Just Show, I would say is 7th grade and up, and it's a very twisty book. About halfway through, totally twist, which I really enjoyed. And Jess isn't your typical teenager in 1998. She loves hanging out with friends, going through magazines, lots of fashion and hairstyles that they read about and they try out and stuff. But there's definitely something going on in town. To start, a lot of the population is out with this like cold, and they're not coming to school, which is kind of concerning. And there's conversations that end when Jess walks into the room. It's very uncomfortable. If you ever walk to a room and it gets quiet, you kind of feel like it's because of you kind of feeling. And then her dog's acting weird, is more aggressive towards her, looks a little different. There's something going on. And every time she brings it up with people, they're like, oh no, it's fine. I don't know what you're talking about, except for her sister. And her sister, Sarah, she hasn't been the healthiest person, but it's really declining lately. And she can tell that she's trying to give her clues, give her hints. And there's something like bundled in her hand that she passes on to her. And so she is trying to figure out what the note means and what is happening in the town, because no one seems to be listening to her. So there's something going on, and she will not stop till she figures it out, because she's very concerned about what's happening. So if you're interested in something that's pretty twisted, has a bit of a mystery to it, then I highly recommend This Is Not the Just Show.
This is Dave the Unicorn. Welcome to Unicorn School. And this is good, again, for 2nd, 3rd grade and up. It's for those kids that like funny books. This one had me laughing out loud. Mira is the main character, and she is excited because it is finally her year to go to the magical unicorn school. Her sister has been going for years, so Mira does know that unicorn school involves quests, glitter, and getting her own unicorn best friend. Mira watches as her new classmates get unicorns named things like Brave or Star, but Mira's new unicorn's name is Dave. And he is not a very good unicorn. He doesn't listen, he eats too many donuts, and he farts a lot. Mira is very sad and frustrated at first. Unicorn School is not living up to the hype, but when a field trip goes wrong, Dave just might be the one to save the day. This is a series as well, and I think there are 2 or 3 out already. So if you like books or unicorns, the series is for you.
All right, and last but not least, this is Katie the Cat Sitter, and if you love graphic novels or cats or superhero stories, surprisingly, this would be a great one to pick up. It's about this girl named Katie, and Katie, it's the end of the school year, so naturally everyone's extremely excited. Everyone's talking about what they're gonna do, where they're gonna go, all the places they're gonna visit. Katie kind of feels left out though. Her mom has to work 3 different jobs just to kind of keep everything together. So Katie really doesn't feel comfortable asking if she can have money to go to summer camp. And that's when her friends come up with an idea. They say, look, like, well, you can't actually get a job necessarily, but you can do sort of jobs. So she tries a few different things around her apartment building. She tries carrying groceries. Turns out that the little old man that she was going to carry groceries for was actually way better at carrying groceries than she was. She tries doing a few other odd jobs, and she's kind of exhausting herself when her very strange and mysterious neighbor from upstairs says, hey, look, I know you've been like running around trying to get these jobs. You know, I have cats. If you will be my cat sitter this summer, or be my cat sitter for a few weeks, I'll pay for your summer camp. Katie is, of course, extremely excited, and she kind of loses her excitement a little bit when she gets up and notices that her upstairs neighbors has a disturbing number of cats, like too many cats. She has like I forget what it is exactly, like 167 cats. And to make matters even worse or more interesting, depending on how you look at it, these are not normal cats. Each one of them has a particular special secret gift. One of them is a language expert. One of them is an expert in like ballistics for some reason. One of them is an expert in disguise. So it turns out that Katie's upstairs neighbor might not just be obsessed with cats. She might be something of a supervillain or superhero, depending on which way you look at it. So Katie finds herself involved in a plot to take over the world and also to save the world, with the help of her incredible neighbor's cats. You'll notice there's a fun little thing going on the cover, which completely escaped me until I actually read it. All of the cats have different things like headphones and other assorted paraphernalia that will tell you what their secret special power is. So again, this is absolutely goofy, off-the-walls humor. If you love Sparks, this would be a great one to pick up as a follow-along read. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I'd say about 3rd grade and up. So if you love, again, cats, graphic novels, or goofy humor, definitely going to want to pick up Katie the Cat Sitter. All right.
Well, thank you, book talkers. Like we said, I will be sending out a list of all the books to you, and it has links to our catalog, so you can place holds on any of those titles, and I'll get that sent out just as soon as we finished. And I hope everyone found some new books they want to read this summer. So thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you.
joining. Bye.
Bye.